In war, there are soldiers who never set foot on the front lines, yet strike fear with terrifying precision. They are snipers, ghosts on the battlefield, where a single bullet can decide it all. In today's video, we'll take a look at the top 10 legendary snipers in the world. Number 10. Jang Taofang. Jang Taofang is one of the silent legends of the Korean War. In just 32 days, he eliminated 214 enemy soldiers without using a scope, a feat so astonishing that even military experts were left in disbelief. He often hid in muddy trenches, remaining motionless for hours. The enemy never knew where he was, only that when someone dropped, it was likely Jang's bullet. His precision came from relentless practice and masterful breath control. Though just a recruit when he entered the battlefield, Jang quickly adapted and became a nightmare on the front lines. Today, Jang Taofang is revered in China as a symbol of patience, skill, and relentless fighting spirit. Number 9. Charles Chuck Mawhinney. When it comes to the deadliest snipers in U.S. Marine Corps history, Charles Chuck Mawhinney is a name that commands respect. While many snipers gain fame through their battlefield exploits, Mawhinney built his reputation in the shadows, silent, precise, and nearly invisible. During the Vietnam War, he racked up an astonishing 103 confirmed kills and an additional 216 probable kills, making him one of the most efficient snipers of his time. But what truly set Mawhinney apart wasn't just his high kill count. It was his unwavering focus and near-perfect accuracy. In fact, in his entire 16-month deployment, there was only one shot he ever missed. That level of precision is almost unheard of in the chaotic nature of war. One of his most legendary moments took place in 1969 near Da Nang. Under the cover of darkness, he and his spotter set up a position overlooking a river where a group of North Vietnamese soldiers were attempting to cross. Using a specially equipped night vision scope, Mawhinney tracked the movement of his targets in the pitch-black jungle. Within a span of just 30 seconds, he fired 16 rounds and every single one found its mark. 16 enemy soldiers, 16 headshots, 0 misses. That night, the enemy learned that in the jungles of Vietnam, death could come without a sound. But Mawhinney wasn't just a cold-blooded killer. His skill saved countless lives by eliminating threats before they could strike. Every confirmed kill meant fewer American soldiers ambushed, fewer traps laid, and fewer lives lost. His methods were so effective that they became required study material for Marine snipers even decades after the war. Despite his incredible achievements, Mawhinney never sought the spotlight. In fact, for years, his legacy remained a well-kept secret, until a fellow Marine wrote about his feats, finally bringing his name into the light. But even then, Mawhinney remained humble, seeing his role not as one of glory, but as one of duty. It wasn't about the numbers. It was about protecting my brothers. Number 8. Edelbert Waldron, the man who never misses. In the long and brutal Vietnam War, where dense jungles could swallow entire battalions, the name Edelbert Waldron emerged as a symbol of absolute precision. He was the most successful sniper of the U.S. Army during the war, with 109 confirmed kills. Waldron served with the 9th Infantry Regiment along the Mekong Delta, where enemies often appeared suddenly from swampy terrain and tiny villages. But no matter how complex the landscape, he always turned every target into a final endpoint. He wasn't flashy in appearance or words, but each shot was a cold period at the end of a deadly sentence. One of his most famous shots happened while traveling on a boat along the river. Spotting an enemy sniper hiding in a tree nearly 900 meters away, Waldron took a single shot, and the target fell like a dry leaf in the green jungle. No theatrics, no flashy nicknames. Edelbert Waldron was the kind of sniper no one needed to know by name, because after his shot, there would be no one left to tell the tale. Waldron proved that in war, it's not about who shoots first. It's about who shoots right and never misses. Death doesn't always wear the face of a man. It's time you met Lady Death, where every bullet is an unyielding declaration. Number 7. Lyudmila Pavlichenko. Lady Death. Lyudmila Pavlichenko was a living symbol of courage. Before picking up a rifle, she was a history student, but war transformed her into a nightmare for Nazi Germany. During World War II, she killed 309 German soldiers, including 36 enemy snipers. a number that astonished the world. She often hid in forests or mountainous terrain for ambushes, always changing positions after every shot. She knew, a second too late and death could arrive at any moment, yet within her was an unshakable resolve. In the brutal battles of Odessa and Sevastopol, through bombings and bone-chilling cold, she held her ground, taking out each target with chilling calmness. Her skill and spirit earned admiration from comrades and fear from foes. After the war, she was invited to the U.S. for publicity purposes. At a press conference, when a reporter asked her about makeup and fashion, she bluntly replied, "I've killed 309 Nazis. What have you done?" That line became a symbol of pride and defiance. Lyudmila wasn't just a warrior. She proved that women could also carve legends with rifles and unwavering bravery. Number 6. Francis Pegamagabo. Francis Pegamagabo, a hunter of the Ojibwa tribe from Canada, was the quiet nightmare the German army faced in World War I. With natural camouflage instincts and razor-sharp accuracy, he became one of the most effective snipers in modern warfare history. He served on the brutal Western Front, Ypres, Somme, Passchendaele, where mud, poison gas, and relentless shelling painted the landscape. There, Francis took down at least 378 enemies and captured 300 prisoners, figures that stunned both allies and foes. He didn't use a scope, just a standard rifle, and eyes sharpened by thousands of hours hunting in the deep woods. Moving without sound, camouflaged in mud and leaves, he approached targets silently, hid in trenches or grassy patches, and struck with deadly precision. Francis was also renowned for courage beyond compare. He repeatedly crossed no man's land under gunfire to rescue the wounded and deliver messages. Heroic acts that earned him 3 military medals. But what made him legendary wasn't just his kill count. It was how he instilled fear even when unseen. Number 5. Rob Furlong. Rob Furlong, a Canadian veteran of Operation Anaconda in 2002, isn't a name widely known in the media, but in the sniper world, he's a true legend. As a member of the Canadian Special Forces, Furlong took part in operations across the harsh mountainous terrain of Shah-e-Qat in Afghanistan, where thin air, shifting winds, and uneven ground made marksmanship an incredible challenge. In a March 2002 ambush, coalition forces were pinned down by Taliban fighters entrenched on a high mountainside. Among them was a heavily armed gunman threatening the defense line and supply route. Furlong was tasked with neutralizing the threat from beyond visible range. He stayed calm, adjusted his Macmillan TAC-50 for wind, humidity, and altitude. When conditions were perfect, he fired a single round that hit the target at 2,430 meters, a world record at the time. The threat was eliminated instantly, allowing reinforcements to advance safely. No boasting, no trace left behind. Furlong and his team moved deeper into the front. That shot wasn't just a technical miracle. It was a reminder to the enemy. Somewhere, an unseen eye is always watching. Number 4. Vasili Zaitzv, hero of Stalingrad. Next is Vasili Zaitzv, a hunter from the Ural Mountains who became a terror to the Nazi army during one of World War II's fiercest battles, the Battle of Stalingrad. With 225 German soldiers eliminated, including officers and elite snipers, Zaitzv was more than a marksman. He was the embodiment of unyielding resistance. He used urban terrain to its fullest. Rubble, destroyed tanks, and narrow cracks in ruined buildings became his camouflage. With patience and a sharp eye, he always picked the perfect spot to strike. His most famous duel was against Major Koenig, one of Germany's top snipers. The Battle of Wits lasted several days. In the end, Zaitzv triumphed by spotting the glint from Koenig's scope. That single shot became legend. Zaitzv didn't fight alone. He trained over 30 snipers, forming a deadly silent network in the ruined city. His legacy is recorded in war archives and continues to inspire generations. Zaitzv proved that in a war where every inch of ground matters, precision and steel resolve can turn the tide. Number 3. Chris Kyle, the legend. Chris Kyle is a modern icon of the U.S. Navy SEALs. Known as the Legend, He recorded 160 confirmed kills in the Iraq War, the highest in U.S. military history. His shots weren't just accurate, they shifted the course of deadly encounters. He operated mostly in urban or desert zones, choosing high and hard-to-reach vantage points like rooftops or rubble piles. His camouflage skills were a perfect fusion of battlefield experience, survival instinct. One of his most famous shots came from over 2,100 meters, eliminating a hostile gunman threatening Allied troops. It wasn't just a technical feat. It was proof of his courage and unshakable calm. Despite his fame, Kyle always said he did only what was needed to protect his team. His memoir, American Sniper, was later adapted into a film, bringing the sniper's story closer to the American public. To many, Chris Kyle wasn't just a sniper, he was a symbol of loyalty, discipline, and protective spirit. Number 2. Carlos Hathcock, White Feather. Some snipers take lives. Carlos Hathcock took control of the battlefield. With 93 confirmed kills and a reputation so terrifying that the North Vietnamese placed a $30,000 bounty on his head, he was the deadliest shadow in the jungle. But Hathcock wasn't just a sniper, he was a hunter. In the dense, unforgiving terrain of Vietnam, he didn't just fire from long distances. He became invisible. His movements were so precise that he once crawled for 4 days and 3 nights across enemy territory without being detected, inch by inch, to take down a high-ranking enemy officer with a single shot. By the time the body hit the ground, Hathcock had already disappeared into the jungle. One of his most legendary feats came when he set a world record for the longest confirmed sniper kill at 2,460 yards, 1.4 miles. Using a specially modified M2.50 caliber machine gun, he eliminated an enemy soldier before they even knew he was there. That record stood unbroken for 35 years. Hathcock wasn't just feared, he was hunted. One of the enemy's top snipers, known as the Cobra, was sent specifically to kill him. What followed was a deadly game of cat and mouse deep in the jungle. In the end, Hathcock spotted a tiny glint of light, the reflection from Cobra's scope, and fired first, ending the duel before his enemy could even pull the trigger. After the war, Hathcock's influence didn't fade. He became a sniper instructor, shaping the future of Marine Corps sniping and helping to establish the modern Scout Sniper School. Though injuries from a landmine forced his retirement, his legacy lives on, with snipers today still studying the tactics he perfected. Number 1. Simo Heiha, White Death. At the peak of all sniper legends stands a cold warrior from Finland. Simo Heiha, born in 1905 in Rautjärvi, a small village near the Russian border. In the Winter War, 1939 to 1940, between Finland and the Soviet Union, Heiha eliminated 505 enemies in just 100 days, becoming the Red Army's nightmare and one of the deadliest snipers in history. He wore all white to blend perfectly into snowy terrain. He didn't use a scope, only the standard Mosin Nagant M/2830 rifle. Why? Because scopes could reflect sunlight and give away his position, while iron sights helped him remain completely concealed. To avoid detection, he placed snow in his mouth to prevent visible breath in the cold air. He dug snow pits to stabilize his rifle for accuracy and constantly changed positions to avoid being tracked. Each shot was the product of careful calculation, patience, and utter calm. The Soviets deployed elite snipers and even artillery to find and kill him, but all attempts failed. In March 1940, Heiha was shot in the jaw during combat. He was presumed dead, but survived. Simo lived on to become an immortal symbol of Finland. When asked why he fought, he said only one thing: "I only did what was necessary to protect my country."